I myself attempted my first academic writing when I was an undergraduate student. And at that time, all my worries were about these commas and dots. Where should I put them? And I considered academic writing as putting these commas and dots in the right place. But now, with all the possibilities of AI, these commas and putting them in the right space is no more a task at all. Now we can concentrate more on the essential aspects of academic writing. I think the scientific research and more importantly, scientific thinking are the core areas where we should concentrate if academic writing should become effective. And because academic writing is concentrated and focused around scientific thinking and scientific research, academic writing is kind of a culmination. The way we put it down is just standardization of the way we present the ideas to the academic community. So, academic writing is something which is very essential and very valuable. And for every higher education institution, this is what we have to focus on. And that makes St. Dominic's to be proud about this particular venture. I congratulate the organizing team for taking up this task and organizing this workshop very beautifully, especially in identifying and arranging one of the best faculties is available for this. With these words, hoping that this workshop will be very much useful to all the participants. With all your permission, I declare this workshop inaugurated. Thank you and wish you a very effective and productive workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, Binu sir. Now we are directly into the workshop, and it is my duty to introduce the resource person. And I'm not going to introduce him, that is a fact. Because, like Francis Bacon's Hofstede, we see a line: some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and a few to be chewed and digested. So, when it comes to Manu sir, it's a personal pride of me that I was his I was a student for 3 years during my UG, and he was my dissertation guide. And I'm fortunate to be in his class for all those 3 years. And very after many years, I attended one of his workshops, 30 days workshops. It was so inspiring, and right from those days, I know who he is. So it is all left with you. I'm sure that he's a man to be chewed and digested, no doubt. All those things you will understand attempting when you are in this session. So I'm not going for any verbal diary. I'm not getting into it. So I invite Mansa to take over the session. Thank you for joining us also.
Dear respected principal sir, dear organizers, participants from different parts of the country, students, research scholars, teachers.
So can you please increase the volume if your microphone is a bit low?
Is it any better?
Now it's better, sir. Yeah.
Okay. I always had this problem with voice. Harry would remember. Harry has given everyone the permission to either swallow or taste or chew and digest me. So in this precarious moment, I'm delighted to greet you and talk to you all. And it's a great honor and a wonderful opportunity to be here in this workshop, coordinating, being the speaker for these 3 days. So let us get into what we are trying to do these 3 days. So
Before
before we begin,
sound good.
I want to be very clear about what kind of space this is going to be for the next 3 days. Let us set the stage. This is not a motivational program. It is not a quick fix research workshop which will guarantee all solutions to all your problems. And it is certainly not a place where you will be given ready made answers. Over these 3 days, we will move through 3 very simple questions. On day 1, today, we will ask, what am I trying to say? Tomorrow, day 2, we will ask, how do I say it? And on day 3, we ask, how do I release whatever I have said into the academic world safely and meaningfully? Now, each day assumes, very clear, each day assumes that we have thought about the previous day. So we come tomorrow, guarantee that we are clear about what happened today. If you feel confused today, that is normal. If you feel clearer by the third day, that is success. So our basic premise, our agenda across these 3 days, maybe a manifesto would be: 1, we treat AI as a tool, not as a shortcut, not as a savior. We respect the humanities mindset, and we will not be borrowing STEM subject templates and patterns. We will not be modeling or following anything that will be modeled on STEM subject based patterns and templates. We will be speaking directly to English language, literature, theory, ELT based research realities. And I'm nobody to give a generic overall PhD advice or talk. No, this is only English specific. These days, we will be seeing research as a slow, solitary, and serious work. We would make sense of and we would try to find meaning and fulfillment in the journey through these 3 days lectures, as well as in the journey of research, rather than focusing solely on the goal or the destination. Let us enjoy the journey as well. And these are not classes or lectures. We are just sharing certain things. It is meant primarily for early career researchers, I understand. I don't know everything. You don't know everything. None of us can claim any sort of omniscience. And this event is not meant for the all-knowing either. So what are the materials required for this workshop? When we did our +1, +2, we had a list. When we went to chemistry lab or physics lab, materials required, they used to give a list. And we also have a few materials required which are non-negotiable. So what I would ask from you is a full undivided attention. And I would also request to keep your videos on at all times. Keep your videos on at all times, not for surveillance, but for intellectual presence and dialogue. And I'm sure that attention can be best guaranteed when people are on screen. We are all human beings, and human frailties will necessarily take us to other more important concerns, but we are here for a purpose. So let us focus on why we are here, and let us briefly, for these 3 days at least, let us relearn using 2 tools that have become or that are becoming obsolete these days: pen and paper. So let us all have at least a pen and a paper. I know that this is a huge requirement, because where can we find a pen? I'm speaking of myself, and I know how tough it is. When go to some lectures and they ask me at the end of the lecture to give a feedback, or on the guest book you have to write something, my hands don't agree to the art or the act of writing. Pens are a long forgotten tool these days. So we need pen and paper for realistic purposes as well. So for these 3 days, I would I would exhort all of us to live in a pre-21st century classroom. How we used to be, or how it used to be once upon a time. Let us take handwritten notes, not recordings, not um, transcripts from YouTube videos or whatever. Let us just take handwritten notes. Let us listen. Let us, because we are good with imagination still, it's not yet dead. So let us listen as if tomorrow we have to give a 1 hour lecture based solely on what we discussed today. And most importantly, let us tell ourselves, this is about me, my topic, my research scholars, my students. Let us not think that we will come back to this later. I don't want anybody to come back to this later physically. In spirit you can recall, but not recall the lecture by coming back to, say for example, they have told you, the organizers have told you that they will be providing you recordings, and Harry has put no 100% guarantee in within brackets. So that is, for a moment, forget that there is any chance of any recording. So we will not be able to come back to this later. So in this spirit, let us also not check AI, because if you check everything I say on AI, 90% of it would be marked wrong. I can assure you, guaranteed. So let us not check AI or the internet to clear our doubts or verify something. We all have that option. It is not that we don't have the option, but let us deliberately keep it off for these 3 lectures. I mean, these 3 sessions at least. Of course, you can note your doubts or to clarify through AI. You can note them down, and you can always check them after the session is over. It is not a permanent ban on AI, not at all. You can check, but not during the lecture. Let us keep it fully human centric, not in an anthropocentric or humanism like idea. But the point, I hope you get me. So my dear friends, why are we here? Let us be very honest about what this workshop can give you and what this workshop will not give you. Let us look at what it cannot give you. And I would take you from the organizers. I joined the WhatsApp group yesterday, and the organizers have beautifully and categorically stated that there won't be feedback every single after every session. You don't have to rush and run after feedback forms. Where is it? I want to feed you back at the earliest. No such thing. No such competition is going on. No attendance. Nothing. Don't worry. Relax. It's all good. But we will keep it purely academic. So taking cue from that, I will tell you a few things that this lecture wouldn't be providing either. There will be no feedback forms, of course. Of course, there will be no PowerPoint presentation either. There will be no printed notes. There will be no handouts. There will be no shortcuts. There will be no list of free journals provided at the end of the workshop. There will be no guaranteed publication in some journal for whoever who attends this lecture 80 with 80% attendance for the 3 days. Nothing at all. No ready-made topic suggestions for people who are struggling for topics. No. No AI tools will be recommended that would summarize and paraphrase and think for you. No, none of these things will be done by this lecture. There will be no cosmetic solutions offered to deep research problems, and there will be no illusions about easy research without any effort. So these are things that you are not going to get in this workshop. I hope that we will have a lot of people leaving the workshop so that we will have a lot of space. I mean, because these are not things that this workshop is providing. And what can it give you? Only a few things it might strive to give you. It will give you the hard and sometimes uneasy truths about research. It will try to give you clarity in place of confusion. And most of all, my or our purpose should be to give you the confidence to trust the researcher in yourself. This is one thing that this workshop should be doing in the next 3 days, and I will be happy if at least 5 of you say that I now know that I have it within me to understand and find solutions to my problems rather than going back to something that we discuss in this workshop. No, you will be the harbingers and the distributors of knowledge for those around you who have these questions and doubts. Where can I find a peer reviewed journal? Where can I publish? How to find a topic? Can you give me a list of topics? All these questions that pop up in our WhatsApp groups and everywhere, you will be the person answering those questions in the days to come. That is what this workshop tries to do to you. And this workshop will also give you the realization. I don't know if it is a sad realization or a melancholic realization or a literary aesthetic realization, but the realization that research is, in the end, a solitary journey. And that this solitude is not a weakness, but a condition of thinking, something deeply empowering, something deeply enlightening. So this workshop will not will not walk your path for you, but it will help you see the path clearly. I guess that is enough for an introduction into what we are going to do. Now, today, the brochure says we are going to talk about the research topic and how to narrow down the scope of research. These are a couple of things that we will be discussing today, and after that, we will be having an interaction, and then we will, go and watch the match. But right now, let us look at the research topic. And I would begin to commence this discussion with a reassurance. If you are confused about your research topic, it does not mean you are incapable of research. It usually means that you are thinking honestly. And in this day of I would stress those two words, thinking as well as honestly. Honestly, yes, but I would also stress that you are thinking. If you have a problem, trust me, you are thinking. And because most of the people today aren't thinking at all, aren't thinking at all. AI is thinking for them. And many of us are either addicted to AI or get doing de-addiction from AI or not knowing where we are, whether we exist. So let us be sure that if you are confused about your research topic, it means that you are thinking honestly. Most people who claim complete clarity and that too early, I would say they are not clear. They are simply merely unquestioning. Because research does not begin with confidence, it begins with unease. It begins with unease. Like, the wedding guest who was made to stand outside by the ancient mariner in Coleridge's poem. There is an unease awaiting us when we enter research, and without that unease, we cannot enter the wedding party. That unease can be framed using different questions, and many of us who are actively in this role, in this place of looking for a topic, are asking or hearing questions in our heads like, am I asking the right question? Is this worth studying? Am I making any sense at all? Has this already been done? Is there a research gap hiding somewhere? And having those questions, such an unease, is healthy. It is not a weakness. It is, I would say, the first ethical sign of a researcher. If you feel uncomfortable at the beginning of your research, you are probably on the right path. Friends, is research a theme? Is research a theme? Or is it a question? I would say, let us look at one of the most damaging mistakes in research, especially in the Indian academia. Many researchers, many research supervisors, many people who are going to do research believe that a research topic is a subject area. So when we ask people this question, what is your topic for PhD? Sir, I have registered for PhD and I got a wonderful guide. I'm into research. So what is your topic? You will get answers like, I'm into feminism in Shakespeare. I'm exploring trauma in postmodern literature. I'm interested in looking at identity in diasporic fiction. Or I'm interested in nature in romantic poetry. Friends, these are not research topics. These are thematic territories. These are territories, not research. A theme describes what you are looking at. And feminism in Shakespeare is not the topic of your research, it is what you are looking at. So, what is the topic? Research asks what is unresolved, unstable, or contested within this theme. If there is something not okay within that theme, that is where you are coming closer to the topic of your research. Something unsettled, something, not at peace with itself, something unresolved, unstable. That is when you are talking research, not a research topic, not talking about the subject, the theme. A theme is static. Feminism in Shakespeare is static. But a research topic, a question, is dynamic. Let us have this idea very clear. If your topic can be written out as a neat noun phrase, it is not yet research. A topic that reads like a proper noun phrase. Now, what is a noun phrase? I hope we understand. I mean, some of us are very poor with grammar, one of whom I am. So, with grammar, we may not have a problem. But let us keep it like this. Something like nature in romantic poetry, or feminism in Shakespeare, or myth making in T.S. Eliot. These are the kind of things that aren't topics. They are merely thematic categories or thematic territories we are looking at. Got it? Let us, for example, let us take an example and see how it differs from a theme. I mean, how it becomes a theme and a question. So let us look at nature in romantic poetry, for example. If it is too broad, too safe, too familiar, now what can we do? Let us create problems. Yeah, let us be honest about it. Researchers are people who are not happy with peace, not at peace with peace, and so they create problems where there are no problems, and then solve it. This is what research is. This is we know it.
Again,
So let us create a problem. Because nature in romantic problem is very settled. Let us create some problems. So let us think, how can we problematize nature in romantic poetry in ways which are not often done? How does romantic poetry idealize nature? And we cannot stop there because it idealizes nature, all of us know. How does romantic poetry idealize nature while quietly forgetting or neglecting or excluding things like labor, poverty, ecological violence, ecological destruction? Why these things are not very relevant in romantic poetry? So, I'm asking this question, how does romantic literature, romantic poetry idealize nature in its literature without paying attention to labor issues or poverty or climate issues? In other words, let us reframe it and rephrase it. Why does nature in romantic poetry appear sublime only when human suffering is invisible? Isn't romantic nature too beautiful? And isn't it too unrealistic then? Because nature has bad things, nature has problems, nature is being destroyed, and it was getting destroyed even during Shakespeare, I mean, Wordsworth and Coleridge's and Shelley's and Keats's times as well. So we are problematizing. Now we have some problem, or let us think of something else. Let us, look at feminism in Shakespeare. Now, let us not say that Shakespeare was a great feminist, one of the pioneers of feminism. Let us stop celebrating Shakespeare as a progressive feminist. Let us ask something like, how would Shakespeare's or how Shakespeare's women dresses
എന്തെങ്കിലും വിഷയം ടെൻസ്
this
മെസ്സായിരിക്കും
is the moral clarity that
എന്തെങ്കിലും വിഷയം
feminist
ടെൻസ്
criticism
എനിക്ക് മെസ്സായിരിക്കും ഈ കൊല്ലം
that feminist criticism seeks. How Shakespeare's resists moral clarity that feminism tries to seek. This is your problematizing in things instead of simply saying feminism in Shakespeare. Or another example I gave was trauma in postmodern literature, postmodern fiction. So let us try to problematize it and ask something like how postmodern narrative techniques aestheticize trauma without resolving it. Now, there is a problem. We know that trauma is defined as something undefinable, and that is how trauma is being looked at. So, how does postmodern narrative aestheticize trauma without even attempting to resolve the trauma? And we are having a problem. These are just examples. I just want you to look at the difference, feel the difference. The second version, we discussed feminism in Shakespeare, we discussed nature in romantic poetry, and finally we discussed trauma in postmodern literature. In all these three cases, the second version of these topics did something dangerous when we problematized it. It questioned existing readings. And that is what research does. Research is not simply about entering a field. It is about disturbing a settled conversation. The world thinks that the conversation is settled and it is laid to rest, the problem is solved forever. Now we are going into that room and saying, hey, come on, let us have some problems. Let us have some fun. Beautiful. That is what the United States of America or Russia, these countries are doing. Hey, peace is very boring. Let us have some research. Let us have some research into war and weapons, and then we can make this world a far more beautiful world to live in, because creativity emerges from chaos. I mean, that is another topic. But anyway, so this is what research does. So if that is the case, where does a PhD research begin, or any research? Where does research begin? I would say research, normally people think that research begins after we identify a topic. Is it so? Isn't it so? Research begins after we identify a topic. Research doesn't begin after we identify the topic. Identifying a research topic itself is serious research. Identifying topic itself is research. A lot of intellectual labor in research happens before a topic is finalized. Even a tentative topic is decided upon. A lot of intellectual labor goes into it. We read, we think, we ask questions, we consult libraries, we consult people, we consult digital repositories, we consult our peers, we consult doctors as well. Of course, we have problems. So probably we are at the psychiatrist once we started doing these kind of things. And all these things, lot of things are happening before a topic is fixed. So we do all these things. We try to find out what we should read. We learn what not to pursue, and lot of other things. So the time spent thinking, doubting, discussing, and abandoning ideas is not wasted time. This time, people who say that I wasted a year to trying to find out a topic, they get it completely wrong. If they were doing some work, yes, they wasted if they are simply working. That is true. Otherwise, they are not wasting a year. A year spent in trying to find out a topic is worth your time, and that is probably some of your best time. I would say this is often the most creative and pleasurable phase of research. Ask people who are done with PhD, or ask people who are sure about their topic and are into their second or third year of their PhD, and they would say they would nostalgically remember those good old days when they were. Why? Those days there were no deadlines, there were no chapters, no pressure to publish. There wasn't a lot of anxiety. Life was a lot better, not as it is now. Too much with us, world becoming too much with us. So the point I'm making is this phase where we are finding out a research topic is very interesting and very beautiful as well. So rush through this phase and we will be made to pay for it later. There are so many people, and it is very difficult to say no. People say, sir, please suggest a topic. How many days, how many times I'm requesting you? Giving a lot of lectures here, there on research, but why can't you suggest a single topic? You don't give only me. Everyone else you are giving topic. No, everybody says this, and they will also say, sir, please, I know that, okay, you don't agree, you say it is unethical, but please, because tomorrow is the deadline. All these days I was trying to find a topic, but tomorrow is the deadline, and if I don't submit my proposal, my title tomorrow, then my this year is gone. So please give me a topic, a topic for my research. And the heart aches. You don't know what to say and what not to say. So, but the problem is, if I give a topic, if anybody gives you a topic, they are doing a great disservice to you in the long run. And yeah, there are people who not only give you topic but also give you the thesis as well, in written and perfectly bound form. In that case, it is an altogether different question, but that would also mean that you have a lot of money and you are ready to purchase PhDs ready made, but that is not where we are. So I find this commonplace in our students and research, especially in students, when research scholars, of course, it is commonplace to panic when our peers finalize topics quickly. And this peer pressure is, they may not put some pressure on us, but we take that pressure on us. And life is so tough when the person sitting next to us submits his proposal. Life is so terrible. But then speed does not always indicate depth. And it is, you are investing. Think of it as investing into what you are going to do in the years to come. And a strong base, a strong foundation is always good. Ask Shankar Cement or anybody, and they will tell you that a strong foundation is very important. So a rushed topic usually leads to prolonged suffering later. It is, I would say, it is like booking your own prison house. Don't do it. But then once you have a topic, and I'm sure many of us may be having tentative titles, tentative topics in our mind, and we are thinking, okay, should I go ahead or should I wait and look at something else, because my colleagues are all having far better topics than the one I'm having. Things that people who get married say, all other girls are far more beautiful than the girl that I married, that sort of thing. Every other topic is far more doable. The supervisor is so happy with all the other topics. Mine is the worst. And every single scholar under the same supervisor feels the same thing, that mine is the worst. But then once a topic is chosen, we have to, uh, you know, choose it, and don't waver. Don't do this Hamlet, to be or not to be. No, no. Keep it with you and allow it to grow. Allow it to grow and develop organically. Expect it to change in shape and emphasis. The topic will not be the same forever. No, you may start with a topic, you may end with something far different from what you began your research with, but that is fine as long as your core concern doesn't change, the core text doesn't change. Yes, because you read more, the topic evolves. And if the topic doesn't evolve, then there is a problem with you, unless you are a prodigy or a genius. Because only when you read more you will come to know more, and when you come to know more you will feel that, okay, I need to modify and fine tune my topic. Fair enough. And research topics are allowed to be modified. Most universities permit you to have modifications to your topic or title. The topic evolves, the topic learns more. Change is not failure, it is intellectual growth. But remain faithful to your core question. I can assure you that persisting, perseverance, whatever you have chosen, is a far better idea than going for another topic. Even if your topic is inherently flawed, I'm sure that with the amount of time you have spent on it and the amount of time that you are going to spend on it, the flaws in your topic will get rectified far better than would happen if you choose a different topic altogether. So this is simple common sense. You are probably the most important and the most knowledgeable person in your topic. Nobody else knows your topic as well as you do, because nobody else is doing this. Isn't it as simple as that? And so even your supervisor, yes, your supervisor, she may know many things that you don't know, but she doesn't know everything that you know about this topic. And so it is fine that if there are, if even if there are flaws in your topic or in the way you have formulated your research question or thesis statement, it can all be modified. Teachers often receive SOS from students. Please suggest search topics. Please. Uh, Surplus of S and A, and please. A refusal is not cruelty, my dear friends. It is ethical pedagogy, or it is kindness and care. Trust me, a topic imposed by someone else undermines your intellectual autonomy. As if I care. I don't care if I don't have any intellectual autonomy. Please give me a topic. A topic imposed by someone else encourages dependence. You will become addicted. You will become so hopelessly dependent that you will not have the courage to think or decide something on your own as far as your topic is concerned. Because deep within your conscience, your mind, your heart will be telling you, no, this is not your territory. This is not your territory. This is borrowed territory. This is on lease. So be careful. You may have to return it anytime. So this is the problem. And a topic that someone gives you reduces research to some mechanical complaints. Our principal sir was telling us how once upon a time we used to think of research as commas, some mechanical thing. So that is not how we should be thinking of any of these things. A research topic is like a life partner, intimate, demanding, possessive. You will live with it for years. Of course, I don't know, but in the best case scenario, you will live with your topic for years, with your partner for years, with your topic for years. You will think about it more than most people in your life, whether it is the partner or your research topic. You will think about it all the time. So imagine asking someone else to choose your partner. Will you do it? If you don't won't do it, don't do this as well. Okay, I hope I make sense. So therefore, what I'm trying to tell you is be clear that you choose your own topic on your intellectual life. Be the leader and captain of your intellectual team, your intellectual faculties. Experts rarely give you topics. Of course, if you attend a lecture, a conference lecture or something by an expert, a brilliant resource person, a brilliant speaker, they will offer you so many hints and fractures and provocations that can be converted into beautiful topics for research. That is fine, but that is not something ready made for you. Good, I always feel that if I attend a lecture and if that lecture gives me so many, what can I say, so many things to work on, things to explore, that is a better lecture than a lecture that gives me everything and the lecture is closed. A lecture that leaves you open ended or ends open ended is a far better lecture because it can make you think, it can help you find new ways and avenues to reach your target. So that is far better. So experts do that, good speakers, good thinkers do that, good writers do that. Your task in such situations, your task is to convert suggestion into ownership, into owning what is suggested. Make it your own. Make it your own. Make it your own in the sense you are a person with so many peculiarities. Every one of us is a unicorn, and that single horn is our differentia, is the one factor that ensures that our research has originality, because everything else is common for everyone. Our one differentiating quality, so that is where you have to make it your own. You get it from someone, not the topic, but the spark. You get the spark from elsewhere, that is fine, but convert it into something that is deeply your own. If you cannot defend a topic emotionally and intellectually, it will collapse. It is bound to collapse midway. Midway, some way it will collapse. And you are a person with your own unique background, your own unique upbringing, your own language, your own culture, your own sensitivity, your own intellectual temperament. There is no one like you, but there can be so many like what you are writing using AI. Why? Because it is same for everyone. But what is different? You are the differentia. You are the differentia. So your topic should get through the prism of you.
പറ്റില്ല
You are the prism which can, you know,
പറയാൻ പറ്റില്ല അതിനകത്ത്
refract light.
94.
Refract.
തൊണ്ണൂറ്റിനാലായി ഇതിനകത്ത്
I hope you understand, you know, the prism, what the prism does. Research thrives on difference.
ഇതിനകത്ത് ഇപ്പൊ നല്ല സാധാരണ
Even research
വീട്ടിലെന്ന് പറയുമ്പോ നമ്മുടെ ഫോണിലെന്ന്
not imitation, not imitation. Literature thrives on
ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുന്ന എനിക്ക് രണ്ടാമത്തെ ദിവസം മൂന്നാമത്തെ ദിവസം സംഭവിച്ചില്ലെങ്കിൽ പോകുന്ന വിഷയമില്ല
the imitation of an action. You can say all those things, but research doesn't thrive on imitation. It thrives on difference. So always remember, two people can read the same poem and ask entirely different questions, and both questions can be perfectly correct or not correct, perfectly valid. Your questions matter because only because you are the one asking them. Know that you are the thing that can make it unique. You do it, it will become unique. You don't do it, it will be just a photocopy, imitation. Plato looked at mimesis. You should be like you should have that, you should embody the Aristotelian version of mimesis, which is creative. Yes, we cannot produce entirely new knowledge all the time, but even then, whatever knowledge gets through you should be transformed creatively. It should be recreation. What reader response theory would tell you: the reader is the one who creates meaning, not the, or lot of options for you to look at all these things. So ask yourself some very basic questions. One, in finding out a topic, of course. One, what do I enjoy reading again and again? Oh no, sir, we are not that type. We don't read at all. We don't read anything at all. Not just again and again. We don't read anything at all. No. If you are a reader, if you are good at your literature, at your topic, you read again and again. What is it that you read again and again? That is your fertile ground to find your topic. Which text? Second question you need to ask is, which texts irritate you or disturb you? I know, sir. Yeah, some text messages from my girlfriend irritates me, sir. Yeah. Those things irritate me, but not these books sort of text. They don't irritate me because I don't even keep any of them in my room or my shelf. Nothing at all. It is safe in the library. No. So you have to ask this question: which text irritates you? Which text disturbs you? And there is a catch. And another question you need to ask is, what do I keep arguing with in my head? What is the one argument that is going on in your head? Yeah, some of you are already thinking, should I listen to this lecture any further? That is the question that you are hearing again and again, maybe. So the point is, ask these questions, and these are the right questions to ask when you are deciding on a topic. I hope I make sense. If nothing excites you, if nothing irritates you, if nothing disturbs you, you have not read yet, or you have not read enough. Interest follows exposure. I used to use this word interest in some of my earlier lectures on research. I used to talk about following your passion and interest. But then I got this reply from many of the participants. They said, but sir, I don't have any such interest. I'm okay. Do you like poetry? Yeah. Do you like fiction? Yeah, that's also fine. Do you like drama? everything is fine. Uh, Not like that. We should have some opinion. We should have feel strongly about something. It is Robert Frost would say in Fire and Ice that he would prefer the world to end with fire than with ice, because ice is terrible. And we don't need that sort of apathy. We need people with strong opinions. Even if it is against you, it is fine. But people with apathy, silence kills you more than, when you do something wrong and you come home and your father doesn't speak to you, or your mother doesn't speak with you, you know that it is far worse than he or she coming with a stick and giving you to nice. Yeah. So you get my point. Reading is not preparation for research. Let us be sure about it. Reading is research. Reading is research. The only thing is, your mode of thinking while reading might become more critical, might become more analytical, because you are thinking about finding a topic. This is the practical thing. Nothing else changes. Whether you read for pleasure or you read for research, you are doing research. The only difference is your purpose. When you read for pleasure, your purpose is pleasure, enjoyment, happiness, dulce, not utile. But when you are reading to find some topic, it is utile, utilitarian purpose. You are studying something, you are analyzing something, so that you will have some solution to your problem. You can find something out. Now, let me talk about some. See, we are not theorizing anything, and there will not be any theorizing any of these days. So let us look at some, what can I say, street smart ways to identify a research topic. Something very anybody can do, but it is nothing extraordinary. Think of it. One thing, simple thing I used to suggest, even now I would continue suggesting the same thing. Use Wikipedia. Do you know what Wikipedia is? We will know, but our students may not know, because until 2023, whenever we asked Google something, yeah, we used to have something called Google, and we used to ask Google in those days. Yeah, it was millennia ago in 2020 to 23, but we used to ask Google something, and then this fellow called Wikipedia used to pop up its head. I will tell you. Authorship. Okay, I will tell you. Shakespeare. Okay, okay, I'm here. Wikipedia. Now, Wikipedia, we know that Wikipedia should not be cited as an academic source. However, it remains valuable as at the pre-research orientation stage. Why it helps? I would say it introduces key vocabulary and key terminology. And why is vocabulary important? I'm not talking about improving your English language vocabulary. What I'm talking about is your subject specific vocabulary. We do that, right? I remember when I first bought a desktop computer when I was in my degree or something. I didn't know anything to ask. So only thing I knew was to go and ask at a shop that I need a computer. So first shop I went ask I need a computer, and then they will say what all features you need. I'll say not features. I just need a computer. No features are not required. Then they will say what specification. Specification is also fine. So do you? Then they will say motherboard. They will say this. No, no, I don't need motherboard and all. I have my mother back home. Just give me a computer. That is enough. So I'm learning this vocabulary. Okay, there is something called motherboard. Then there is something called configuration. Then there is something called Windows, different from the Windows at my home. And then this vocabulary I take to my next shop, and there I am a more knowledgeable person. So I ask something like, okay, you told me about this computer, but does it have motherboard? If it doesn't have motherboard, then I don't want it. Okay, then they will realize that I'm a fool. So from their response, I'm getting that, okay, there is something wrong with asking for the motherboard, because it is more or less. So I'm learning the vocabulary, I'm learning the debates, I'm learning the arguments and what I need to ask. And by the time I reach the 10th shop, I will be in a far better shape to ask them the right questions and, I'm just making up, cooking up things, but still it works. We are bricklayers, we are not engineers. Let us be good bricklayers. So let us use what is available rather than worry. So yeah, I still would say not AI, but Wikipedia, because it is limited. We don't want a surplus of information. We don't want everything is going to destroy us badly, because we are bombarded with a lot of information with AI. I don't know how to control it. Information overload, you call it, whatever you call it, it is very difficult. So Wikipedia, at least it has some framework and some space, and it will only speak so and so things, and so you get the vocabulary. Once you learn the vocabulary, of course, go to AI to do other things. That is all fine. But when you are starting, go with Wikipedia. Or it will give you overall information on major debates, major schools of thought related to your area. It will help you identify influential thinkers and major texts. See, at the beginning, we don't know anything. That is where we begin our research. And there are sections in Wikipedia like See Also, which will reveal related concepts and marginal ideas. It's very useful. Even today, when I prepare for a lecture, I just go to Wikipedia first, because we have strange topics. People come up with strange collocations from AI for the different conferences and lectures, and then they will say, "Sir, you are going to give this lecture in this." So I'm just trying to find out what this is all about. Yeah, when I give the lecture, I may sound like I know everything about the topic, but when I'm starting preparing for my lecture, I don't know anything. I'm preparing, I'm learning. And I remember recently one lecture conference title was something like reconnoiter. So I didn't know. I'm hearing that word for the first time, and the coordinator, madam, she told me, "Sir, this is the topic of our theme of our conference. So you can give your title of your. Can you please give your title?" I said, "I'm sure I will give." Thankfully, it was on message, so I got some precious time to just check somewhere what this reconnoiter is and what it means and what is happening with these things. So this is the reality. So we need this See Also. We need footnotes and references. That a thing like, I'm not saying Wikipedia is the only option. Of course, think of whatever you have elsewhere as well. But footnotes and references, it will point to books, articles, newspaper articles, reports, which you may otherwise miss wherever you search. These footnotes and references are very useful, and it can lead you to unexplored or underexplored topics. It can lead you to unexplored or underexplored materials. There are topics that can, that the spark you will get when you read a newspaper article rather than some big fat book. So this Wikipedia is one simple thing that you can use. Another thing you can use as your friend, your classmate, or somebody, your mother, your father, whoever is at home, to bounce ideas. Thinking aloud as a method. That is what I would suggest. Think aloud. Yes. Already people are saying that my screws are loose. So once I start thinking aloud, you definitely would put me in some asylum. No. Think aloud as a method for your research. Explain your idea to someone completely outside academia, non-specialists, family members, friends. Preferably use your mother tongue. Why it would help is, it would explain, it will help you understand what you are trying to say. Many times we have by hearted something, or we know something as a fact, but we don't ask the necessary questions. So use your mother tongue, avoid technical jargon, and tell your mother, okay, this is my research topic. And I can assure you, it is not in your final PhD viva that you are going to get the best questions on your topic, but from your mother and your friend who is playing with you outside, who is illiterate. they will ask you better questions, because that can it always works, because it forces conceptual clarity. It reveals hidden assumptions. We ourselves have certain beliefs, certain prejudices, certain biases, certain assumptions that we are not aware of. Now, today, what we do, we will say something and we will ask AI to tell us what are the hidden assumptions. So, the problem is we are not thinking, AI is thinking for us. So, let us do this thinking for a little while more until we die, for example. After that, let AI do all the thinking. So, and it also works because it turns your explanation into an avenue for discovering something new. My personal experience, some of the finest ideas that I have come up with in my research papers originated in my discussions with my mother. She's not a literature person. She's not into any, she hasn't studied literature or literary theory, nothing. But it is from my discussions of my topic with my mother that insights have come to me. And of course, there are other avenues also where insights would come to you. The classic one being when you do your prayer, and when you are in a prayer hall. Yes, let us believe that it is God giving us the topic. But either way, when you are praying or when you are taking bath, you are doing it so absent-mindedly that everything else you do will have a lot of concentration, and your full being is into what you are thinking, not what you are praying. Because most prayers tend to be repetitive repetitions of things, and so what happened, you know when it is habitual, we are absent minded there. And when we are absent minded, that is the one space I feel we are most present minded elsewhere. And that presence, that is where we are at our best in our thinking, and explore and exploit that opportunity to find out your ideas, to find out your topics, everything. The practical technique also, something else you can do is record such conversations. Anyway, it is not like the days where we had to pay for recording, or we had to buy cassettes, or we had to buy films for taking photographs. Those days are gone. Now we can do everything freely on our mobile phone. Have it, so do it. Record the conversation. Why? Record your own arguments. Maybe, for example, revisit it after a few days, and then your own, the mistakes and the errors and the gaps within your argument would present themselves to you. You would identify gaps, you would identify leaps, and you would identify your confusions. And it is from those moments that you can have the finest leaps into beautiful thoughts and ideas in research. Another area where you can find out a lot of ideas, thoughts, topics would be by attending conferences, lectures, and workshops. Of course, uh, you know, attend events with openness, not a rigid agenda, which is also very important, right? They all say that you have to keep an open mind. Don't have some specific agenda. Keep an open eye, open mind. Write down even naive or senseless thoughts that come to you when you're listening to a lecture, for example, at a conference. It may appear completely senseless, but keep a note of, keep a journal entry of your silly thoughts. Many good ideas begin as awkward questions. Really, when Newton asked, "Why didn't the apple go up?" That was a very nasty question. If any of us were his teachers, we would have given him a nice slap and told him, never ever think anything like this. Apple should go up. So the point is, write down your silliest thoughts. Paper presentation sessions are especially useful because all papers teach you things. Weak and bad papers teach methodological lessons about what you should not be doing. Disagreement sharpens your thinking and helps you generate alternate angles for your research. Lot of options are there. So I would say that a conference or a seminar is a gold mine. It is gold dust. Everything that happens there is gold dust. Keep it, take it, write it down, and you will get a lot of spark from those things. Sparks from heaven will descend on you in those moments when you attend, when you are in that academic environment. Another thing to do, identifying authors and texts strategically. Now, this is something that many of us might be doing, but maybe we can have some tweaks, some changes to the way we do it. Let us first of all avoid unguided and algorithmic searches. Suggest some topics for my research. AI will suggest so many things. It is free of topics. Now, my friend was looking for a name for his yet to be born baby, and he asked. Of course, he asked AI, and and he said, "I want names which are unique, which are rare, which are very beautiful, nice sounding, all these things." And it gave names like Arav and Arnav and a few such names. Now, he asks others also the same question. Please suggest names for my child. So they also do the same exercise. They also ask AI, and interestingly, at, from whatever they got, whatever they shortlisted, it was like out of 15, 9 or 10 of them were the same for 5 or 6 people who did this thing. So what is AI doing? It is giving you unthought of names that are unique, which are, best for anything. Names. If that is the case with names, what would it be doing with our research topic? Definitely, it is not going to give us anything unique. And that is not the right question to ask. That is not the algorithmic search that we are expected to be doing. So instead, some silly thing you can do is track major literary prizes, whether it is Nobel Prize or Pulitzer Prize. I make it a point to post these things in our WhatsApp groups and all, because what it does is it doesn't only tell you about the winner of the prize, it will also give you the short list and the long list. So you track these major literary prizes and curated lists, read those long lists and short lists, and simple thing, of course everybody is going to talk about the people winning and the most important people in that competition, the last five people who go into the final round. But what about the others? They are also literary authors, and 99% we don't know any of them because we are good at reading. So what we can do is we can use all of these authors as potential authors we can work on. This is a simple thing that all of us can do. And another simple thing, let us stay abreast with latest literary trends. How to do it? We have to stay connected, stay informed, uh, read journals, not the journals that we publish in, because of course we pay and publish, and everyone else also pays and publish, so there we are not going to get anything interesting or anything latest about research, because everything is from AI, so don't worry about that. Read some good journals, find some, you can, for example, or supplements like Times TLS, Times Literary Supplement. It will give you a host of information on what is trending, what is going on, what is even the vocabulary that comes from Gen Z. These are interesting sources from which we can garner useful information. Think of open access repositories and digital archives. Think of literary groups and literary communities. you know we have this group, Pickwick Papers, and I see that most of the people I am seeing here on camera are part of the group. So I post things, and I find people thanking me not for the things that I post up with a lot of effort, but for silly things I do, because people keep thanking me for the most unexpected reasons, because they are informed. They believe that they are informed. What I simply do is I read the newspaper or whatever literary news I get. I have some shortlisted websites and all, and whatever I find interesting, I share. So if everyone can share this, we don't need anything else, isn't it? So the point is, these are all places where we can stay abreast with what is happening, what is running, what is current. And another way people do find topics and avenues for research is by applying new theories to existing texts. New theories to, traditional texts. Canonical texts are not exhausted. Yes, I may want to do something on Paradise Lost or Paradise Regained, but our supervisor would tell me that no, that is not possible because it is overworked. So many thousands of books are already written. So whenever I come with a book, teacher, supervisor tells the same story, that it is overworked. But then there is something else that is changing. New theories are coming, reframes familiar material. You can put something within a new frame, and that is a new research. Reveal it, uh, try these things to reveal silences and exclusions in already existing, what we call literature, the review of literature. What are the silences? What are the exclusions? There, those are our opportunities. But always remember, theory should emerge naturally from textual need. It should not be it should not be like a metaphysical conceit. It should not be yoked. It should not be like heterogeneous ideas yoked by violence together. That should not be happening. And so these are some things that you can do. Of course, you can refer PhD thesis and research repositories. They're very useful, extremely useful. Doctoral theses are valuable because they help us map existing scholarship. They help us find research gaps. People ask me, where can we find these gaps? I find gaps everywhere, but I cannot find anything called a research gap. Sir, where is it available? It is available in all these researches people are doing, in the PhD thesis that are already done. Focus on introduction. Focus on that area where they say limitations of my research, where they say things like, this research unfortunately could not shed light on XYZ area. So that is your catch. That is where you can work on, because it is not something that this researcher has been looked at. And good researcher, whether it is a research paper or a research article or a PhD thesis, it will have something called scope for further research. So that is a mine of topics for you, scope for further research, because these people have anyway done a lot of research, spend a lot of time reading all these things. So they have done research for you, and they are saying that, okay, I have found such and such areas which unfortunately I could not complete because it was beyond the scope of what I am trying to do. So you may do that. Is the that it is an open invitation to everyone to do whatever you want to do. So how will I know whether my topic is good or bad? What is the litmus test? I would say there is nothing inherently good or bad about a research topic. A topic is strong if it is researched properly, rigorously. A topic is weak if it is handled casually. As simple as that. Yes, there are different minor changes here and there, but this is the overall idea. It is not about what. The question is how. It is not about what you do, it is about how you do what you do. That decides whether your topic is a good one or not, in hindsight. And think of Aristotle's definition of tragedy. Because why are we talking about Aristotle's definition of tragedy while thinking of research? Because it is a tragedy. Students tell us, we know it is tragedy. So, what is Aristotle's famous definition of tragedy? Tragedy is the imitation of an action that is serious, complete in itself, and of a certain magnitude, in an embellished language. Last 100 years, I'm seeing you doing the same thing, pity, and lot of fear also. Oh my God, will somebody see? They are saying that I should be married and be having 10 children, but I don't have even a boyfriend. I'm just having this research supervisor, not as a boyfriend, of course. So this is our fate. So that is not what I wanted to say, of course. What I wanted to stress on is imitation, imitation of an action that is serious. Think of it in how you want your a good research topic to be. It should be serious, complete in itself, of a certain magnitude, in an embellished language, which we call academic writing, research writing, and stuff, through you know through action and not through narration. You are getting the point. So it must be it must not be trivial, it must be serious, it must have an inherent internal unity, what you can call coherence. It must be of a manageable magnitude, which we call scope in research. It must be academically articulated, which is how what Aristotle would call embellished language. It must be engaging, it must not be inert. You have studied inert gases that doesn't respond to anything. Inert, whatever that doesn't respond, doesn't react, inert. It must be engaging instead, and it must be capable of producing something. Not catharsis. Yes, it is good also, catharsis is also good, but it must be capable of producing intellectual impact. This is what we are looking at. And what are the practicalities involved in choosing the research topic? A viable research topic must align with your intellectual passion or interest. It must align with your supervisor's interest and competence. It's a practicality. We say it is not important, but it is very important, because if the supervisor says a no, worse still, if he doesn't say a no, but it is a no for all practical reasons, then we are in big trouble. Supervisor's competence also matters. Your institutional priorities, all these things. If you are submitting to choosing topic matters. When it is submitting to a journal, you have to look at the journal's policy scope. All these practicalities have to be taken into consideration while choosing a topic as well, because research exists within ecosystems, not in isolation. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. It has to occupy some space in many ways. So that is even physically. That is why we have word limit, for example. Journals would say that it should be within between 3,000 to 5,000 words, because it occupies some space, physical space. So this is the point. It exists somewhere. That is why we have to pay attention to all these things. But when I say that we should have passion and interest, I would go one step further and say that we have to move from interest to something we can call intervention. That is when a topic becomes researchable as well. Yes, interest is necessary, because if you take a topic that you have no interest in, you are going to struggle with it. But then interest alone is not enough. Many scholars say, I'm interested in identity. I like this author. I want to work on this theme. But interest is, this is a correction to something I used to tell earlier in my lectures. Interest is emotional. Research is not about emotions alone, it is intellectual responsibility. So a topic becomes researchable only when it does, there can be many things it can do. It is researchable, one, if it challenges an assumption. Two, if it complicates or problematizes a dominant reading. Three, if it exposes a contradiction somewhere. If it, four, if it brings a neglected text or a marginalized author or marginalized area or lens into the discourse. Next would be if it reframes a familiar problem in an unfamiliar way. Defamiliarization, isn't it? So in other words, research must intervene, not just interest. Ask yourself this question: If my thesis does not exist or did not exist, what would scholarship lose? Of course, they would lose me, right? Because it is me, and without me, this earth is not going to go around. It will go up and down. Lot of problems are there, so you don't know who I am, what I am. That is how everybody with a PhD thinks. Not everybody, somebody with a PhD thinks. But then you have to be honest. If my research does not exist, what would scholarship lose? If the answer is, when you be honest, but if the answer is nothing, then the topic is not yet cooked. It is raw. It is not yet ready. Let us be honest here. Summarizing what critics have already said, however elegantly, is not research. And this is a big problem. And I feel, from whatever little I have seen, I feel that most research that is happening in literature is basically summarizing what others have said. And that is the tragedy of research in arts and humanities at large. And yes, we vigorously and vehemently oppose when people say that research in arts and humanities is trash and you are doing nothing sensible. You don't have methodology, you don't have hypothesis, you don't have a lab even. Yes, we say we have a language lab, of course. So this, but then there is something going wrong with research in language and literature, especially in many of the universities in certain parts of our country. I mean, I don't want to name anything because I don't want to have anything, but this is what is happening. You know what I mean. So, research begins where summary ends and disagreement begins. So, let us have that sort of an understanding in mind as we go ahead in this research journey. So this is where I wind up this rather lengthy discussion on the research topic and the nuances involved and how to find topic and things like that. Now, another minor thing that we need to look at today is the question of breadth or the question of narrowness, deciding the scope, feasibility, and the depth of research, how to do it. What is scope, my dear friends? What is scope of research? We can say scope defines what your study includes, one, two, what it excludes, three, how far it is ready to go or how far it goes and where it stops. A good researcher knows where to stop. A good researcher know how to narrow down. Trust me, a narrowed down topic is not a small topic. No, it is a precise topic, not a small topic, not a bad topic. A narrowed down topic is a precise topic. A narrow topic, narrow, in not in the other sense of being narrow minded, but something that is, proved. A narrow topic that is researched deeply is always superior to a broad topic handled lightly. The treatment matters. And so this is something we have to be thinking when we are thinking about this scope. Depth comes from saying less. I know I talk a lot, and then I realize that people pay no attention to me. Depth comes from talking less, saying less. Depth comes from saying few things but with lot of clarity and care. Ask yourself these practical questions again for scope. Can I finish this within the time frame? Of course, we shouldn't let it finish us. We should finish it. Second question that we need to ask, can I do full justice to it? Third question, can I sustain interest in this question for years? Of course, we know that years guaranteed, interest is not guaranteed, but years guaranteed because, you know, sixth year, seventh year, eighth year, ninth year, and still our PhD is going on, still nothing is happening. So years are guaranteed, interest is not guaranteed. So, but the point is, will I be able to sustain and carry this interest with me throughout the years of research? Because anyway, it is going to, for it is going to last a certain duration of time. imitation of an action that is serious, complete in itself, and of a certain magnitude. It will take some time because it's a tragedy. Aristotle knew it all. So, my dear friends, many theses fail not because they are difficult, but because they are unfinishable. And I would say this with all respect to some of the greatest thinkers in our country and people like that. Some of the finest people, finest, most knowledgeable people in our country don't have a PhD, not because they haven't tried, but because they are not able to finish their PhD. This is true. They are not able to finish their PhD. Why we are able to do it without that much stuff? Because we don't know that much. We don't know anything. So we are fine. We will never have a surplus of information. We will always have a dearth of information, a scarcity of information. We never have feasts. We only have famines. So we are safe. But the point I want to make is it is also important that our work should be finishable. A finished thesis is definitely better than a perfect, an imperfectly finished thesis is definitely better than a perfect thesis that never ends. Don't be a perfectionist. You can be a perfectionist after you complete it. So get done with your PhD, whatever research you are doing, and then think of perfectionism. Fight with your wife or husband and for perfectionism. That is fine, but not with PhD because it is about life and death, not like something else. So a good topic must be broad enough in such a way that it is able to sustain scholarship. It should be broad enough to allow dialogue within existing criticism. But then, on the other hand, it must be narrow enough as well. And what are the criteria? You should say it must be narrow enough to stay original. It must be narrow enough to avoid dilution. It must be narrow enough to be completed responsibly and with doing justice to the topic within the time frame. So this is the idea with topic. And how do we limit the scope? There are so many things that we can do. Simple thing first, limit the number of texts that you take. Instead of taking 10 novels and 20 authors, take one novel and two novels and one author. Or it's as simple as that, because a PhD can be done on, if it can be done on a single line, it can definitely be done on a book. So why should we have so many? Of course, if the topic demands, that's an altogether different matter. So for example, if somebody is doing something on minor characters in a book or something like that, maybe he or she may have to look at multiple texts, 10 or 20 or 30 texts. It depends on the topic, but generally limit the number of texts. It is not about having a lot of text. I know that it is not something that many of you would want to know, because you know these things already, but I'm also trying to be more easy to understand for people who are beginning their research. Such people are also here, I understand. So choose fewer texts as possible. Anyway, 2 or 4, not 20 or 40. Limit the time period. That is another way to reduce the scope. So instead of saying something like 19th century, say something like the Romantic period. And instead of saying something like Romantic period, say something like immediately after the French Revolution. And this is the way, limit the time period, and that is one way to reduce the scope or bring down the scope of your research. Another way is simple thing to do, limit theory. Yes, for all practical purposes, theory is considered a must in many Indian universities and colleges, but limit theory in the sense, why should we be intersectional and say that, see, actually my research is so beautiful that I can apply feminism, I can apply Marxism, psychoanalysis, post-colonialism, this, that. So let me apply all these things like balm. I mean, I will try this here and this here, because who knows which helps to reduce my headache. So it is, theory is not a balm to be applied. Theory is not Fevicol. It is that is not the way we have to understand theory. So not going into theory at all. The point is, limit the use of theory, limit the application of theory to its bare minimum, but what is required as well. Yeah, if sometimes a research might require an intersectional analysis, intersectional approach, where you have intersectional studies, in the sense you have multiple theories operating within the same framework. That is possible, but I'm talking about limiting. Another way is by limiting geography. You can talk about Indian English fiction, narrowed down, British romantic poetry, narrowed down, or American romantic poetry, narrowed down, South Asian diaspora writing, narrowed down. You can, come down, wet it smaller and smaller. Another simple way, another simple word that we use is the term select or selected. Depends on how you want to use it. Whatever discussions I have had, I find that there isn't much water in whether we should use select poems or selected poems, because it is interchangeable more or less. Yes, people have a lot of discussions, but I feel that a lot of hair splitting arguments and classifications aren't necessary. So use either select or selected, but in the select poems of William Blake, no, it narrows it down big time in the select poems, select novels. So this is how we handle the scope, and I don't think it is a big problem as such, except when we are trying to look at the scope of your research. Otherwise it is not a problem. So that is that. And to conclude, I would let us do something, a little bit of an activity kind of thing that will be useful. See, what I find, this is from my practical experience, I'm saying, and I don't have a lot of experience to bank on. Still, I'm saying from my experience, because that is the way it is said. So, one of the greatest confusions in literature or literary research today is the distinction between topic, theory, and method. Now you might think, okay, I know what is topic, I know what is theory, I know what is method. But there are so many instances when even some of the best researchers confuse these things. And that is a big problem. And so what I would say is a proper alignment between topic, theory, and method is super important if you have to do a proper research. And that this is something very connected with topic. That is why I am discussing this here. So you master this alignment between topic, theory, and method, and half the work is done. And it is not a difficult task, not because it is difficult, but because people don't do it. This is what I would say. It is simple, but you have to do it. In these research writing workshops that many of you might have attended, I have given a simple exercise to the participants, to my students and scholars. And I know many of you found this extremely useful. So it kind of works unconsciously, where you smoothly and effortlessly fall into the track. You learn it without knowing that you learned it. It's as simple as that, but it requires some concentration, some effort for 10 minutes maximum. 10 minutes. I trust me, it is as simple, but it is as important as well, because many people complete their PhD without knowing this difference. So let us set things straight first. What is a topic? Topic, let us, in a layman's terms, let us say what texts and issues you are studying. That is what your topic is. Topic when it comes to research, the texts and issues that you are studying. What is theory? Theory is, let us call it the lens, the conceptual lens through which you read the text. We are keeping it very simple. The lens, the conceptual lens that you use to read the text, that is your theory. And what is method? How you analyze the text. What to how. How you analyze the text is your method, methodology. It can be close reading, it can be discourse analysis, it can be archival study. Lot of options are there. So method. So this, I hope we are clear about the definitions, at least about the meanings of these three words within the limited scope of research: topic, theory, and method. And when I'm talking theory, I'm not even talking about theory with a small letter T. I'm talking about theory with a cap, in the sense literary theory, what we started talking about after the 1960s with Derrida and post-structuralism and all. We started talking about literary theory. That is what I'm referring to here. So we sometimes, or many of us sometimes, or some other times, choose topic, theory, and method as if they are separate shopping items. I take one from here, I take one from here, and from this shelf another one, and yeah, got everything. This is the recipe for pieces. They are not. A strong topic already implies a theory and a method. The moment you have a topic, 99% the theory and method are there. This is something very important. When you have a topic, good topic with you, you will have the theory and the method inherent and implied within that topic itself. And you will understand, because you yourself are going to tell me what is right and what is wrong. I'm giving you some examples. But before that, so a strong topic, remember this clearly, a good topic, a strong topic implies both theory and method within. Like a kangaroo, it carries both babies within. Even after it is born, it will carry the babies within. So, for example, a question about power, immediately you are thinking of Foucault, isn't it so? You're thinking about political theory. No, a question about power immediately makes you think about political theory, Foucault, discourse, power, all those things. A question about language, and immediately you are thinking about what? About imagery, metaphor, all these things, and then you are talking about the method is close reading, close reading. A question about history, and you are talking about contextual methods. The moment you are talking about historical analysis, you cannot go for this new criticism or formalism or such methods which are anti-historical, anti-biographical, anti-contextual. So this is simply what I meant when it is implicit, but beyond any theory, you will be able to learn it in the next 10 minutes, I'm sure. So do not begin by asking which theory should I use. Sir, this is my topic. This is a question that most of us have either asked or have been asked. Isn't it so? Sir, this is my topic. Can you suggest a theory that I can apply to it? I mean, we don't feel that something is wrong with that question naturally, because you go with the topic and teacher says, "What is your theory?" I don't have any such things. I don't have theory. I'm not that type. Teacher will say, "Come with a theory." So we are like thinking, okay, we'll be available in the next more or margin free market, DMart. Where will I get this thing? That is, this is what happens. So begin by asking not what theory I should be using, but begin by asking what kind of question am I asking, and this will give you answer to one, and what kind of thinking does that require. Two questions. One, what kind of question am I asking, what kind of question, and two, what kind of thinking does it require. If it sounds a little vague or confusing, don't worry. My point is, theory should sharpen your question, not suffocate it. Method should serve interpretation, not replace it. Method should serve your interpretation, not replace it. I'm using technical terms. That is why if you find it confusing, it is confusing. Let us look at practical examples, and then I'm sure that if you have some idea of literature and how it operates, you will be able to understand this in the next 5-10 minutes. Let us see whether we can. So I'm giving you a simple activity to unconsciously understand and learn having good topics and titles, basically. Of course, it has numerous applications, as you will find. So I will give you some examples. Just and with this, we are winding up today's session. Of course, we can have question answer session, but this I will not speak more. So I will give you some examples. Just say whether there is good alignment between what all things, topic, theory, and method, or bad alignment between topic, theory, and method. And at least in your mind, say why. Answer this question, why. Most often you will be able to find out yes or no, and you will also be able to find out why. And this exercise will help you get this idea. So this simple thing. So I will give you a topic, then I will tell you a theory, and then I will give you a method that can be used for that research. You have to tell me whether it is good or bad, or you have to tell me whether the alignment is there or not. Simple thing. You're not, no big questions. And in your mind, you will also understand or think why you are saying what you are saying, because without knowing what you are saying, you will not say yes or no, right? So have that concentrate. Now, first example I am giving, the topic is nature in romantic poetry. The theory I am using is eco-criticism. You don't have to write down this thing. Nature in romantic poetry. Theory is eco-criticism. And the method I am using is close reading of imagery, landscape, ecological metaphors. What do you think? How is the alignment? Good or bad? Priyanka Kulhari ma'am says it is good. She has given me a thumbs up. Others, if not, yeah, Shandini ma'am says it is good. Nature in romantic poetry topic. Theory is eco-criticism. Method is close reading of imagery and textual features. See, everybody is saying good. Don't go with the crowd. There is always a danger in going with the crowd. But let us go with the crowd. It is good. It is natural fitting. Everything is fine. Sounds coherent. Utsav, yes, it feels great. So yeah, aligned. Good. There is a connection. Not just connection, Suvin, we have to look at alignment. Connection is not that what we need. There must be alignment. It is something like, you know, we have 3 points. We don't need anything that connects 3 dots. It can be a triangle also. What we need is a straight line that connects 3 dots. So it has to be in a proper way. The alignment has to be proper. Otherwise, it will become anything else. 3 points can become a triangle as well. So whatever it is, we need either a triangle or a straight line. Let us say we need a straight line. Nothing is great about a straight line, but I'm just giving you the idea that we need one way of thinking only. We need to say not whether it sounds good or anything. We have to say whether it is aligning properly. This is the point. Okay, one example, you sorted. Yes, yeah, they are in alignment. Everybody is good with it. If somebody feels it is not, we will discuss that later. So yeah, this is not like the question paper where you are asked the, like what is the plural of sheep or nothing like that. This is this exercise is not meant to trap you. It is meant to help you. So I'm not asking questions to create problems. Okay, first example, well done. Second example, the topic is simplicity of language in romantic poetry. The theory I am using is post-structuralism, and the method I am using is statistical data analysis. Topic is language simplicity in romantic poetry. Theory is post-structuralism. Okay. And the method is statistical data analysis. Selma says not aligned. There are not in alignment. Okay. Ravi ma'am has a thumb up, but not a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. Okay. There is something awkward about it, right? So we cannot say that it is completely at odds. There are possibilities, remote possibilities, but it is not statistical data analysis. Yes, Magesh Balu. Yeah, it is controversial. Yes, correct. It is controversial at least. It is conceptually confused. That much we can say. This alignment is not good. Prima facie, tough to say. Okay. Okay, prima facie, you are going into legal terminology because we should be able to do justice to the topic, right? That's justice, prima facie. Okay, so not statistical analysis. Yes, yes, that is the problem, right? When I said language simplicity in poetry and post-structuralism, you were more or less okay. Okay, it can be done, but then the method is statistical data analysis. It means that the student is not clear about what is going on, isn't it so? Statistical data analysis, it can work, but it looks like a metaphysical conceit, forcefully connecting. It is not natural. That is the problem. It is not like complete contradiction, but it is forced, not natural. Third example, caste and silence in Indian English novels. Caste and silence in Indian English novels. Topic. Theory is subaltern studies. And the method that we will use is narrative analysis and discourse study. Caste and silence in Indian English novels, theory subaltern studies, and method narrative analysis and discourse study. It's okay, right? All good? All good, aligned, well aligned. Okay, lots of thumbs are up. Yes. Okay, good. It is clear, coherent, and it is persuasive. So we know it, right? We know this alignment. Don't we? Don't we? Yes, we do. Topic, melancholy and delay or indecision. Okay, let us put it melancholy and indecision in, you know, the text. Of course, Hamlet. Melancholy and indecision in Hamlet. That is the topic. The theory I'm using is psychoanalytic criticism. Theory in a broad sense, of course. And the method I am using is interpretation of soliloquies, interpretation of symbols, and internal conflict. How is the alignment? Alignment is good. Yes, yes. If somebody feels it is not okay, it, you know, not that you don't have a point. So just because everybody says yes, that is not why we should be saying yes. That is a simple thing. Yeah, it is correct only. It is natural fitting. The text itself, we know Hamlet, and it dramatizes psychological tension. So psychoanalytic criticism is probably the best, and interpretation of soliloquies and things like that. That is how you do it as well. So the method is like natural. It is naturally there in the title itself, melancholy. You know, this is how you are going to do it. Another one, moral guilt in Macbeth. I'm keeping simple topics only, not like nothing like overdone or anything, nothing worrying. Moral guilt in Hamlet, that is the topic. And the theory I am using is digital humanities. Now, don't worry, just because Macbeth was in the 16th century and digital humanities we discussed in the 21st, that doesn't mean it is not, that it is incompatible. That is not the thing. And the method is computational word count analysis, digital humanities. Can you discuss moral guilt in Macbeth using digital humanities as a theory and computational word count analysis that these people do as a method? Not aligned. Not aligned. Method is obscure. Sneha Deep, there is something though, there is some alignment. Just that there is, digital humanities and computational word count analysis are okay. They go together, but they don't go with moral guilt in Macbeth. That is the problem, right? Everywhere two things could be related, aligned. But the third thing, if it is not, word exactly, Swati. Word frequency does not directly, work with moral guilt. Quantitative because we are using quantitative tools here, and they cannot explain moral issues or ethical complexity, psychological issues. That is not possible. That is why we say that it is not. So even if we are not able to exactly pinpoint what is wrong, we have a fair idea. We are getting a fair idea. What is interesting is we are getting into that zone where we understand what is happening. Next one. If you are tired, tell me, we'll stop. Okay. Next one, body soul conflict in John Donne's metaphysical poetry. Body soul conflict in metaphysics. John Donne's poetry. I'm using theory, new criticism as my theory. And the method I will be using is close reading. Close reading of metaphysical conceits and metaphysical paradoxes. All good? So new criticism and close reading will go together. And to know body soul conflict, we can do it through close reading. Everything is perfect, aligned. Okay. Poetry demands formal and textual attention more than anything, right? It is not romantic poetry, so we are not that much worried about historical biographical information. We are happy with proper textual analysis, in-depth textual analysis. Another one, religious imagery in John Donne's poetry. Of course, you know that John Donne has something connected with those things. And the theory I am using is post-colonial theory. And the method I am going to use is imperial power mapping. Religious image in John Donne's poetry. Post-colonial theory, imperial power mapping. Not good? Not good. So something is in alignment, right? The second and third, the theory and method are in alignment, but it is not, it doesn't work with the topic. Fine. So it is not okay. The theory does not arise from the textual concern. There is no easy to discern connection between any of these things. So there is a problem. Yeah, not aligned. Another one, topic, bird imagery in Ode to a Nightingale. John Keats's Ode to a Nightingale. Now there is internal alignment within the topic, right? Bird imagery in John Keats's Ode to a Nightingale. I'm using post-humanism as a theory, and my method is species equality analysis. Within post-humanism, you must have heard about this species equality analysis that these people do in animal studies and species equality analysis. Of course, this is a bird. Nightingale is a bird. So what do you think? Are you okay? Use your, not your intelligence, use your intuition. And that is what we are doing. That is why we are getting it right. So the question is consonant with, okay. The topic is bird imagery in Ode to a Nightingale. Theory is post-humanism and method is species equality analysis. Is it okay? Here it aligns as equality in what sense? Ethical. Swati, don't worry. Species equality analysis is more like, whether you are privileging one species or not. So don't worry about that. It is a clear method within animal studies. And is the method quantitative? No, method is not quantitative. Prima facie, not quantitative. Yeah. Yes or no? Where are we? Priyanka ma'am wants to go with it, but something is pulling her back. I don't know if it is Keats or the Nightingale pulling her back. Somebody is pulling her back. I think it works. Here there is something very interesting. The thing is, I think it doesn't work. Of course, there are reasons to believe that it works, but then it may not work because we have to go a little bit deeper into the poem and post-humanism. And that is where I feel it may not work. I won't say it will not, I will say it may not work. Because in Ode to a Nightingale, the nightingale is not a bird. It is a symbol. That is why thou was not born for death, immortal bird, heard in generations across time, across space, heard by sad Ruth when sick for home, she stood in tears amid the alien corn, the self same song that found a, all these things he says. So we know that it is not a bird that can be analyzed using species and things like that. And ontologically, that is the problem. Ontologically, this poem does not come within the what can I say, purview of post-humanism, because we are not talking about the bird as a bird, nightingale as a bird. This is the problem. So I wouldn't say it is completely non-aligning. I would say that it appears forced, not natural anyway. Yes, if you are very good at what you are doing, you may be able to argue something out, but then it will definitely look like a conceit yoked by violence together. This is the problem. So we disagree on it, but our disagreement is we agree on how we disagree, right? So we agree that there are certain, these are the reasons why we disagree. So that is fine. Okay. Are we done? Tired? More? How to know whether we are tired or not? Okay. Character development in Mrs. Dalloway. Let us use structuralism as a theory, and let us have binary opposition charts as the method. Within structuralism, Claude Lévi-Strauss and others have used this binary opposition charts as method within structuralism. Are you okay? Character development in Mrs. Dalloway. Not okay. Not okay. Why? Because the novel itself resists method doesn't align. Exactly, Selma. Why? The novel itself is about resisting fixed binaries, and when we are using binary opposition charts, and that too in a quantitative way, how are we going to look at character development? It is not possible. Then emotional trauma in God of Small Things, theory, formalism, and method, rhyme and structure analysis. Emotional trauma in God of Small Things, theory, formalism, method, rhyme and structure analysis. No way is it. Who said no? I lost it. But yeah, it is not okay, because rhyme and all, where is it coming? Even otherwise, emotional trauma, you are going to find out using formalist methods, and it is forced. Anyway, forced, probably completely non aligning, because formalist tools or techniques cannot explain trauma. Even otherwise, we are not able to explain trauma. So, boundaries and human relationships in Mending Wall. How does it sound? Good. Theory, new criticism, method, close reading of symbols, maybe walls, boundaries, repetition, irony, contrast. Good, good. Okay, all good. Okay, workable. Yes. Meaning emerges. Yeah, close reading is fine. Narrative voice in The White Tiger, Arvind Adiga. The White Tiger, narrative voice. Theory, echo criticism. Of course, there is a tiger and all. Method, environmental metaphor study within echo criticism. No. Why no? Not aligned. Not aligned. Devu is thinking, what is this person saying? Not aligned. What is the problem? Because ecology is not the novel's primary concern. Now, there is something else. Just because, colonialism wasn't the primary concern of Tempest, we cannot say that we cannot give a colonialist reading of Shakespeare's Tempest. That is not the way of arguing here. The point is, ecology is not the novel's concern. So, the novel says something, and to understand its narrative voice, we cannot use ecological lens. That is the problem. Tiger is again symbolic. Yeah, ecology. Exactly, Anjana. Yes, it is not used in a literal, not what is it literal? Yeah, in a species like sense of an animal. So yeah, that is what. Then power, patriarchy, and discourse in My Last Duchess, Robert Browning. Power, patriarchy, and control, or something. Theory, Foucault, power and discourse, Foucault, and method, discourse analysis of speech, surveillance, authority, discourse analysis. Well aligned, well aligned, well aligned. But how many of us ever thought that My Last Stitches can be read from this angle? So, you know, it's there. It's very much aligned and it is very much there. Just that we need to put the right things in the right place, and it gives weight for such interpretations. Then another topic, authority, obedience, and rebellion in Paradise Lost. And theory could be cultural studies, method, ideological analysis of hierarchy and power. Ideological analysis. Fine. Yeah. 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 Yes. Shall we call it a day? Do we need more? Musicality of prayer in Tagore's Gitanjali. Theory deconstruction. Method mapping semantic instability. Oh, musicality of prayer and what is going on? No way, no way. Yes, yes, yes. The poem aims at unity and not about, it is not about rupture. And deconstruction is all about slippery slope, rupture. So, I'll just stop. I'm tired. Let us stop. Let us have some interaction and questions. But I guess we are good. I hope everybody is on the same page regarding how we have done this exercise and what we are able to do, though we didn't know that we have this alignment within us. So thank you. Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir. And now this is the first day of our workshop, and this is not a period, this is just a comma. So we don't want to worry about like we won't meet him again. So you can, maybe one or two people can definitely raise your hands, and I'll just call out their names and then they can ask the questions, otherwise it will be a disturbance. So those who wish to have a query, you may raise your hands now. If you have any specific questions except a topic as Sir has said during his talk. If not, we'll wind up for the day and we'll continue tomorrow. I think the last part of it is.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do have a question, but right now I'm not in the right space of asking the question. So is it okay, Manu sir, if I message you and I ask you, or if whatever WhatsApp group has been created there, I raise my concern?
Yeah, sure, sure, not a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If there is nothing else, yeah, definitely it will be ongoing. So in the coming days, will be fine. Uh, so
I have a question.
yeah,
Hello.
Yes, yes, go ahead. Yeah, you're
My
audible.
name is Tanushrina, and see, in the context of research, do you think we are actually reinterpreting or repackaging the existing ideas? I mean, kind of an intellectual mimesis. Uh, how can scholars actually strike a balance between influence and innovation? That's what I want to know.
Hmm. Yes, yes. We cannot escape intertextuality. We are always in that mesh. Yes, influence is always there, whether we are talking about Kristeva's intertextuality or T.S. Eliot's influence of the tradition, or we are talking about comparative literature in the sense how comparison leads to connection between, everywhere there is connection, everywhere there is interpretation. So yes, it is a good question, and it is a relevant question as well, something that I may not be able to fully do justice to, because but the point is, yes, there is a fine line separating influence and originality, and this is something that um, you know T.S. Eliot's tradition and the individual talent is in a way about this question. How in literature, for example, how can we work out a balance between tradition and individual talent, for working out a balance between influence and what is it? Influence and being original. That is the essence of the question, I guess. So the point is, yes, there is a problem because when we do a research, we have to do a lot of, um, you know, ransacking of existing documents for a literature review. And it is said that 70 to 75% of every research is recycling and repeating existing knowledge, because because it is a foundation and you have to invoke the foundation for you to build on it. So this is the simple idea. So how to find which is the exact line of demarcation? Yes, it is tough, especially when we enter as early career researchers, or when we are doing MA research or BA project. We are not sure where is that distinction, where is that line separating being original and being influenced. Now, being influenced, because you use the word influence, I think it is okay, because if we are very honest, nothing is original, because we are all working everything within language, and language we inherited. So we cannot say anything that new, that it goes beyond that influence of language, because nothing happens beyond language. That is what they say. So in that sense, yes, it is impossible. But yes, there is a clear area. It is, I don't say it is a gray area, because it is not like it cannot be worked out. It is not easy to understand it or learn it at once. I believe that it requires practice and experience for you to know how much of getting influenced is fine. You know, the question that we need to ask is, will my research exist if it doesn't have others? One thing that you can ask, and the answer should be, it will not exist, because you are building on existing knowledge. So if you are thinking about having something without early research or something, that is never going to happen. But then look at the other question: is my entire research saying nothing new and just recycling and shuffling and rearranging existing knowledge? This, and a beautiful example of this is AI itself, ChatGPT itself, because it works by rearranging existing knowledge. It gives us the impression that it is creating new knowledge, and it might create new knowledge in the days to come. I don't know if it is doing that exactly right now, but my feeling, what I think is, AI or ChatGPT or these generative tools aren't creating any new knowledge. Instead, they are recycling or rearranging or presenting existing knowledge and as new knowledge. Now, the question you are asking has the potential to take us to very deep ontological, philosophical questions, because can we ever get out of this? Is it ever possible for us to, because if we say that AI is not creating anything original because it is working on the crores and crores of books and materials that it is fed with, we are also like that. We are also fed with everything that we have read and experienced and everything. So based on that only, we are also doing something. So is it creation? May not be in that sense. How innovative are we? We are innovative to a certain extent. We are new, and our ideas are new and creative and original to a certain extent, but we cannot claim 100% originality with anything. Even Einstein, when he created whatever is MC square or whatever, yes, we credit them with it, but it is, you can say that you can hear the winged chariot behind you telling you that I'm here, I'm here. It speaks of lot of absent presences, isn't it? So without that, we cannot do anything. In that sense, nothing is original, but in some sense, certain things are original, for the sake of our commerce, for the sake of our understanding. We have ideas like patent or copyright and such protections available. Is it strictly so that it is all my knowledge? No, because I have worked on existing knowledge. So can they claim something on what I'm doing just because I used their knowledge to work my, work my idea? No. So yeah, it is interesting. I wouldn't say it is a gray area. It is an interesting area, and I'm sure that people here would agree with me that as we do research, we learn this, we master this, we inherit the skill of knowing what is the line that separates originality and influence. Influence is always good, not a question. But influence, when it reaches the state of plagiarism, that is the worst. You are copying, deliberate copying. So influence, what percentage of influence? Influence in what sense? Certain influence is necessary and good, but influence beyond a certain certain percentage or certain limit will take us to plagiarism. And I think that somewhere there is the answer to your question. What do you think?
Sir, actually, the thing is, earlier you mentioned one thing that research doesn't thrive on imitation. So that somehow caught my attention. And I strongly believe my I would say that Plato's philosophy has profoundly shaped my thinking. So that's why I was kind of unable to agree with whatever you said. That's why I
Got
raised this
got
question.
it. See what I said about imitation. It was said in a limited context, not in a broad context of and being getting out of imitation, because it is not possible. Everything is imitation. I also believe so, and I'm a big fan of Plato, and no question about it. So we are not working outside mimesis. Why I said what I said is because we have early career researchers, and I cannot tell you that research is imitation, research is mimesis. I cannot do that because that is sending wrong signals. And maybe in a 30-day workshop, I can do better justice to it. But in a 3-day workshop, we have to work with whatever limited time and words we can use to convey the idea. Because this was not a theory lecture, it was a practical thing where I was trying to give you some practical thoughts and insights into how we can get things done. It is not about ways of thinking in the theoretic way. It is about getting things done more in a practical way. I get your um, yeah, point. Yes.
Okay, sir, we have another question from Sneha. She has raised her hand. Sneha, you may go on with your question.
Okay. So thank you for this session, first of all. And so my question is, how do I know if my research topic is inert or not? Because the topic that I am working on day and night, it would always appeal to me. So how do I differentiate?
It appeals to you, so you want to know whether it will appeal to others. It is inert. Inertness is more like it is dead. So if it appeals to you not because it is interesting in a limited sense, then it is not inert. But your question is probably like, um, I am interested in it, but how will I know for sure that it is valid, it is relevant? um, you have to look at it from two perspectives. One, you have to be very clear as to what is already known before your research, before your thinking in your area of research. And so, consequently, what is it that you are newly contributing? You have common sense, you have logic, you have, simple common sense is enough. Use your own common sense and tell for yourself, know for yourself whether it is contributing something new to the field of research that is happening in that particular area, whatever is going on in that particular area. And if it is contributing something new in some ways, then definitely it is alive and kicking. And another way to look at it is from the research gap point of view, in the sense, what gap does your research try to fill? So you, of course, you did your reading and all, you did your literature review, you understood what people are saying. So have you found out a research gap, a gap that your research can fill, or your research at least strives to fill. Your goal is to fill that gap. So have you found a gap that you are reasonably confident that your research, if done properly, depends, we may be fallible, but if done properly, my research can fill this gap? If the answer is yes, you are good, nothing to worry. Look at contribution to existing knowledge, to look at the research gap that you are filling. Both more or less mean the same thing, but these are two different ways of approaching it, and that will clearly give you the idea whether you are on the right track or not.
Okay, sir, thank you. Would keep these points in mind.
There are no further queries. We can wind up today's session. So tomorrow also we'll be meeting same time 7, and there won't be any welcome speeches or anything. We'll be directly getting into the lecture. Manasa will be handling all these 3 days. So thank you for your participation and patient listening, and I believe most of you were very actively involved in it. Even though you have muted your microphone, your responses clearly shows that. Thank you Manasa, for joining us for this workshop. So good night all of you. Thank you.